Hi folks, the Filipino P here, and welcome to a brand new segment where I discuss current events in the Philippines that affect our foreign viewers. Today we're going to cover several different stories, but the big news is the law that might have just destroyed vlogging as we know it. So, is vlogging dead in the Philippines? Well, if it's not, it just became a whole lot more difficult for many channels. The NPC, or the National Privacy Commission of the Philippines, has released new regulations that affect anyone who uses a camera to upload, post, publish, or share footage online, whether or not it's for commercial gain. This would apply to anyone posting images to YouTube or any other social media platform, even if their channels aren't monetized. It describes the camera or recording device as being capable of creating, generating, sending, receiving, storing, displaying, or processing audiovisual recordings and can be bodily worn, handheld, or attached to a person. This includes, but is not limited to, digital cameras, mobile phones, GoPros, smartphones, and even Google Glasses. So pretty much anything that captures an image or sound. Now, it didn't specifically mention drones, but I bet that's covered too. So, what do the new guidelines require you to do? In public or semi-public places that may capture audio-visual information of bystanders, vloggers have to basically do three things. First, if they're filming a specific person, they have to warn them beforehand that they're gonna be on camera and that their image may be posted online. Second, vloggers need to have an appropriate privacy notice on all their online platforms, which provides details to the people who might appear in the recording and let them know how to exercise their right to object and the right to have the post taken down. Now, those first two are really no big deal. If I'm filming a specific person, I always get their permission anyway, but it's the next one that's causing the uproar. Vloggers are required to use available technology that can mask images of bystanders, especially children and other vulnerable individuals. Well, I don't know why they added the wording especially children in there, because according to the regulation, it covers every single person who incidentally appears in the picture. So what that means is that anyone who wanders into the frame, or anyone who gets caught on camera for any reason, has to have their face blurred. I suppose there's some program out there that can do it, but the only one I've ever seen can only blur one little spot at a time, and trying to cover every face in the crowd would take hours. But even if it could be done with just one click of a mouse, do people really want to watch videos with a bunch of blurs? I know I wouldn't. On top of that, according to an article from GMA News, the NPC also said that vloggers who monetize their channels must now register with the NPC. So are these actually laws or just guidelines? I've heard some people question whether the rules are enforceable or maybe they're just a suggestion, like many of the other laws around here. Well, I checked, and the NPC actually does have the right to enforce its rules. So even if it's not actually a law that passed through Congress, you still have to treat it like one. Now, I know there's a lot of rules in the Philippines that aren't actually enforced, but you can count on the haters out there, the folks that love to cause trouble, to report even the tiniest violations because it's their mission to cause harm. I've already had several comments from the little trolls that say, "So what you gonna do now, P, huh? Your channel's gonna go down in flames." I never understood people like that, who just live to attack others. But they sure are out there. So if I don't follow every single letter of the law, they'll make sure I'm the first to go. So why did the Philippines do this? Well, the obvious answer is because of that Vitaly vlogger, the Russian guy that ran around making a pest of himself, humiliating any Filipino he could find. But there are other reasons as well, like people who go into the slums and showcase the poverty. They often catch images of children and other vulnerable people without their consent. Now, whether it's done for clicks and views or whether they're trying to shine a light on social problems, it can still violate people's right to privacy. I get that. If you're sticking a camera in someone's face and embarrassing them or filming someone who says they don't want to be in your video, You're violating their rights, and they should be left alone. But here's the problem for vloggers like me. I love to do street interviews and walk the boulevard to chat with people. I was always respectful and asked their permission first, and I never had a single problem in 5 years. But if I have to go through all the footage and put a blur on everyone's face that passes by, it not only complicates the editing process, but it results in a very ugly video. Sometimes I like to make a video at the beach and pan the camera around to show you what the place looks like. But now I have to blur everyone's face, even in public? Who wants to see that mess? Remember how much you guys hated it when everyone here had to wear a mask? A lot of you refused to watch the videos until the masks came off. Well, this is even worse. I think what they've done with this law is to wipe out a lot of channels that do travel vlogs and videos of touristy places. But the economy of the Philippines benefits from those videos. And a lot of you guys probably found my channel and decided to come here because you saw one of my videos. And this is gonna really hurt vloggers like me. So what about the big news outlets? They capture bystanders' images all the time. Does that mean whenever we watch an evening news story about people going shopping at the mall, we're just gonna see a bunch of blur spots? Somehow, I think the news channels will be exempt, even though they're doing the exact same thing on a much larger scale. But if you haven't noticed, in the Philippines, it's always the big guy who wins. Now, I'm not saying that the new rule is necessarily a bad thing, but I can say it'll drastically affect my style and my channel, and add even more hurdles. So what do I plan to do? Well, if I can't do my interviews anymore, or film tourist spots, or basically film anything outside my own studio where there's other people, well then, I just won't. At least not in the Philippines. Oh well, it's not gonna stop me, and I already have a plan, so stay tuned. Our next story is a little bit more encouraging. The Commission on Filipinos Overseas, or CFO, announced a 40% spike in the marriages of Filipinos and foreigners between the years 2021 and 2022. In 1 year alone, there were 6,854 intermarriages, and as you might expect, the majority was with Americans. In second place were the Australians, but what surprised me the most was that third place went to German men. Filipinos must really like those sauerkrauts and their hot dogs. 10% of the marriages involved Filipino men marrying Westerners, but no data was given on how many of those foreigners were also men. However you slice it, it looks like Filipino foreign affairs are doing just fine. And here's more positive news. When Filipinos finally make it to the West, we actually do surprisingly well. According to a publication called Filipinos in the Six, Filipino-American households are one of the highest earning ethnic groups in the United States, with a median income of $115,000. The article credits the Filipino success to our cultural values, our work ethic, and our community's approach to education and family. Now, those things might be true, but I credit a lot of our success to a trick of math. The average Filipino household has 4.1 people, whereas the average American household has 3.1. So if you're referring to the total income of an entire family, the Filipinos have a distinct advantage. But good on us anyway. And now, for a story that just boils my blood. If you know anything about me at all, you know I have an incurable soft spot for our furry friends. Well, according to Emma's News, an animal welfare group in the Philippines has discovered that people are posing as kind citizens wanting to adopt rescued cats and dogs, which they then use to feed their reptiles. The Alliance of Animal Advocates says that these unscrupulous bastards even pretend to want multiple animals and sometimes accept money from rescuers who are desperate to rehome some of the many stray animals here. But it gets even worse. Sometimes the animals are slaughtered for human consumption. Last year, a Thai man adopted 4 cute little dogs and ate every single one. The animal welfare group reminds people to remain vigilant when allowing strangers to adopt their pets. If people can just swing by and pick up a free dog, it's like turning your house into a fast food restaurant, like McDobermans, or Beagle King. And I hope that anyone who eats there gets the Shih Tzus. Well, that's all the news for this week. But 7 days is a long time. And in today's crazy world, anything can happen. And I'll be back next week with a brand new report. In the meantime, for those of you who are interested in what's going on with my channel and a look behind the scenes, come join me on my Patreon page. I've got lots of exclusive videos of my personal life, including my recent adventures in the US. I'm about to visit the massive battleship, the USS Alabama, for next week's 4th of July celebration. So I hope you'll come along and see what happens when I get my hands around a real 16-incher. But it's only going to be shown on Patreon. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you there. Till then, folks.